about flow, it is funny because those of us who do and have kept reefs for a long, long time, you don't realize that in the beginning because you think like, I got these pumps and this is going to be good forever and ever. Well, there's no even telling how long you're going to be a hobbyist or how long you have the tank or how long anything. And you just got to know that, man, I would almost say on a reef tank, the piece of equipment that has to evolve the most in the long run is your water flow makers.
Absolutely. I mean, you can set it up with one way and leave it alone, but I see a lot of people setting up their tanks and they have like this kind of low aquascape, and then they have their pumps up high, and they're like, well, I'm not getting much flow by the coral, by the, and so then they move the pumps down so the pumps are directly on, and it's like you don't have a holistic understanding of how flow works.
The weird thing, this phenomenon, I don't know what it's called or anything, but like you can have really big circulation pumps on a tank, and you can, all the time on my clients' tanks, and you can look in the corner and just detritus is just building up, and you're like, what the hell? I've got like 2 MP40s on this 75-gallon aquarium, like cranked, and it's the most insane thing. You can put all these circulation pumps everywhere, and I can still show you dead spots.
Absolutely, man. Aquascaping and corals, aquascaping really impacts flow because it's a literal block.
Yep.
And it's going to send, and it will slow down the speed of the water. So even if you think it'll bounce off that, it bounces off much slower.
Yeah.
And much
it loses velocity.
Yeah, and much more distributed. So if you can get the whole, and that's one of the reasons when I talk about it, you get the whole body of water moving. That takes time. So we used to say you want random chaotic flow. And it's like, but you gotta have the flow go one direction long enough for the water to build up its own momentum and really start to get moving. You can't just flip this on for 10 seconds, then this on for 10 seconds, then this on for 10 seconds. You end up with water that ends up not going anywhere.
Again, this is so funny that we're talking about this because just today, that same tank that I was talking about where I put the Seachay Voyager 10 in the back and it caused a whiteout. Well, it's funny. You can never tell what your circulation pumps are doing any more than when there's detritus all in the water.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you go to a trade show, the thing with the beads in it, where you can visualize the flow. And so I have all 4 of the MP40s that are on the tank. They're on Mobius. And I was sitting there watching it for a second. I was like, oh, because I have it on like a slow building pulse either side. And it's exactly what you're saying. I was just watching the water just keeps colliding right in the middle, and it kept scooting substrate away. And I was like, I want to watch it to where, that the pumps on the left shut up until the flow from the pumps on the right, touches that side glass wall. And then I want the ones on the right to shut up because otherwise it was just this fight in the middle.
Yeah.
I really want to push it that way and then push it this way.
So mine, I found the sweet spot to get it really moving in these tanks is about 22 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I want it, a lot of the time, the left side will come on for 22 seconds and then the right side comes on for 22 seconds. And I often do that in the slow pulse mode. So they come on and actually, so the flow is coming this way, this way, this way. Then this side, the flow is coming this way, this way, this way. Then this one turns on and then the 2 flows fight for a little while.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Pushes back and then it's this way. So then you're getting really comprehensive water motion across the entire reef. And there's no way we can tell anybody what to do.
That's sort of a little piece of advice, though, is storm your tank.
I was just going to say.
Picked up. Yeah.
That's what I did.
And it will show you what your water's doing.
When I first set up these tanks at the Coral Spawning Lab, I spent a bunch of time going, okay, how are we going to make this flow work properly? And so sat there with the empty tank because those tanks are mostly empty. The corals are not really up on any rockscape.
Yeah.
And I would blow the sand around, blow the dirt around, scooch everything up, storm the tank so goo was in the water because you can see that for a long time. You can put additives in the water
Yeah.
But your time that you're going to see what they're doing is really limited, especially as that homogenizes.
Yeah, like
every day you can
alkalinity
storm the
component
tank
or
and move it
something.
around.
Yeah.
So, so instead of saying, when somebody says what pump should I get for water flow? And people go, get 2, Vortec MP40s, you'll be fine. It's like, you're going to have to make a choice of what to start with. And then you're going to have to set up your rockscape. Hopefully you've got an idea in mind about, how are your corals going to grow in and how is that going to impact flow, and that'll make you decide where to put your flow. How are you going to get a gyre going? Having a return that punch at the front glass is just seems like a complete waste of everyone's time.
Oh, you know what? A old school piece of equipment. Now that we're talking about this, that I have several in my garage right now because they last for forever.
Yeah.
And I took them back from tanks that came back down, and I put them on one of my new installs as a sea swirl. Those things are badass.
I have 2 under the house, and they absolutely make sense in certain applications. A sea swirl.
They are a little weird because. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
A sea swirl is a device that goes over your tank. It blocks a lot of light, which is why one of the reasons I don't like it. You can extend them, but it's a box, and you plumb a return pump or whatever, a closed loop pump, but a centrifugal pump, not a power head, to it, and then it transfers that flow through a piece of pipe that oscillates that you can put.
Do you want me to go get it?
You can put it doesn't matter. No one's gonna buy them anyway. But you can put an elbow or a 22 on it, and then your flow sweeps around.
That's a pretty slow motor.
Yeah, and it can go.
What does it do? Like
it does 180 degrees, I think.
No, not quite.
170 degrees.
169.
Oh yeah. They're very cool devices.
It's not going to solve all your problem, but it does like slowly sweep the water around.
So what application would I use that in? Big open water tank, a tank that had a lot of space.
It doesn't work well with a standalone tank. I only end up putting them on tanks that are built into cabinetry where it can hide.
So you can hide it for sure.
Yeah.
They're very cool. I think they kind of went out of vogue.
God, guys, they still exist? I don't know.
As pumps got better.
Yeah.
All of a sudden when you can have this thing in your tank that you can hide, that you can change the flow on and have it change throughout the day. It's a great piece of kit.